Hello there, and welcome to my channel, Novice Modelling and the Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy, and yes, we've been spending money again. Aren't I a naughty boy? Now, I was out in Mould, don't laugh, that's the town where I live, and I was having a quick scout around the charity shops, which is something I generally do once a week on one of my days off. And I was having a good old mooch around. I picked up a couple of books from the British Heart Foundation for £6.50, and I was wandering around and I thought to myself, you know what, I ain't seen no model kits for ages. When am I going to find some model kits again? Because I do like getting them from charity shops. And lo and behold, we went into the Welsh Air Ambulance charity shop and we ended up parting with 210 quid. Yeah, that's a lot of money. But I was doing my part, you know, I've contributed £210 to the £16 million that it costs every year to keep the 4 Welsh air ambulances airborne. So I kind of feel like I've done my good deed for the month, so I don't mind. So what I've done is I've laid out what I've got. There's another one off to the side in the books, and there is a couple of Airfix kits. We've got an Eduard, we've got some Tamiyas, and we've got some Revells. They're not great. What I've actually done is I've had a look on eBay to try and find out what the current going price for them as buy it nows is. Obviously, you know, if you care to stand around or sit around for 7 days for an auction, you might pick these things up cheaper. So we're going to see, did I get a good buy from the Welsh Air Ambulance? It's unlikely I got that much of a good deal because they normally have high prices. I normally avoid them like the plague, to be honest with you. But here we go. The first one we've got is this Tamiya 148 scale, series number 67, Bristol Beaufighter TF Mark 10. And as you can see, I paid £20 for the pleasure of someday building this rather beautiful, awesome aircraft. And as I said, I've had a look on eBay, and currently this goes for around about £25 to £35. So that seems like a reasonable deal. I've paid a fair price for that, I reckon, 20 quid. I mean, obviously, like I've said, you know, you might pick one up for a tenner or 12. Please don't tell me you got one on auction for £5, or I might just go and jump out the window. So next off, we picked up this Douglas A1H Skyraider, US Navy, and this is Tamiya 148 again, series number 58. And this is done up with some really cool looking tail art. And it's kind of an aircraft, to be honest with you, even though I'm more into Second World War stuff. I've been looking at these Skyraiders for a while because there's a famous photograph, and I was actually going to buy 132 at some point, probably by Zuke Mora because they're awesome, and I was going to do it up with this thing by Brengham because there's a famous photograph of one of these loaded up with what's called a toilet bomb, and that's the 132nd scale toilet bomb that you can get from Brengham. They do it in 148 as well, so maybe I've wasted my money on that. I won't get the Zuke Mora, and I'll just do this one instead. Next up, we have this one, a Fairey Swordfish Mark II. Obviously a rather famous aircraft from its involvement in sinking the Bismarck. And this is 148 scale aircraft, series number 99. And as we can see here, I paid 20 quid for this one. It does actually have an original price label on this one of £58.50, so that kind of looks like a bit of a bargain, but obviously that's a retail price. And this particular one on eBay seems to go for around about the £30 to £50 mark. So for 20 quid, that's a pretty good buy, I think. What do you think? Next up, we've got this one, and this is where everything started falling down. This one is an Eduard Fw 190D11, again 148 scale, weekend edition, and I paid 25 quid for this. Yeah, this one's a bit of a mug one. I mean, Eduard are really good ones, but this is the weekend edition, which is kind of a little bit more basic than some of the other ones that they do. And this one goes for, where is it, around about 20 to 25 pounds. So you could say I paid on the money, but I did see one for 17.95, similar but not the same. So yeah, that's not that great a buy, but it's still a pretty cool aircraft in 148 scale. Excuse me. Next up, we have a Revell, and this one, as we can see, is a Avro Lancaster Mark 1/3 in the 172nd scale. I picked this one up for 15 quid. Online on eBay, buy it now again, these tend to go for 20 to 25 pounds. So to me, that doesn't seem like too bad a buy. It's probably quite a bit more basic, to be honest with you, than your better quality kits. It's probably kind of vintage in a newish box. It hasn't been opened, so we can assume it's complete in there. But we've got a Lancaster to add to our Dam Busters Lancaster. Next up we have this one, a A10 Thunderbolt 2. And as I previously said, I'm not really into jets, but this is a pretty awesome looking aircraft. It's mean as hell and pretty dangerous. So if you're going to have a jet, I mean, I suppose an A10 Thunderbolt is probably, you know, one of the ones that you should have. Again, it's 1/48 scale. I picked it up for 20 quid. And this one tends to go for 15 to 25 pounds. So I don't think that's that much of a bargain, to be quite honest with you, but we can stick it in the collection, and at some point I'm sure we will build it. Next up we have a Fokker Dr.1 1/28 scale, kit number 04744, flown by the famous Manfred von Richthofen, and I picked this one up for 15 quid. And this one tends to go for around about the £20 mark. So that's not too bad a price. I've actually opened this up because I saw a few pictures online that seemed to indicate it came with some figures. And it actually comes with 4 figures. Obviously, we've got a pilot, and then we have 3 other pilots or ground crew who are standing around attending to our famous flyer and the aircraft. So I think of all of these ones, this is the one I really want to get onto pretty quick, because that's going to look big, and it's going to look mean, and it's going to be red. And that's a cool colour. Next up, we have a B-25J Mitchell, which is, where is it? Kit number 855512 by Revell. Again, 1/48 scale with the nose art of Jaunty Joe. Kind of looks to me, yeah, it's got a 0 or something in the background that this is in Southeast Asia. And I paid £25 for this one. Let's just have a look. This one seems to go for around about £25 to £40 on eBay. So we could say that that's not a bad price. Again, pretty cool looking aircraft, pretty big. It's a Revell, it's probably an older kit, it's probably not that well detailed, but it'll make a fun build that's relatively quick and hopefully relatively stress-free. Okay. Next up, we have this one. It's a Revell B-17G Flying Fortress. Big box. £25. And this one online on eBay seems to go for around about, where is it? B-17, 25 to 35 pounds. Sorry, 30 to 35 pounds. So that seems like a pretty good buy. Big box, big aircraft, again, Revell. I've opened this up. Let's have a quick look at what you get. And it's pretty basic, to be honest with you. We get some clear plastic sections with a bit of detail on. See some rivets for painting. We get some big propellers. I mean, that's a nice touch. We get the sort of weighted tyres here that are sort of look a little bit deflated. There's not a great deal of parts. I mean, a lot of the detail on this is kind of looks a little bit sketchy, to be honest with you. It looks all right. Let's have a look at the wings. Yeah, there's not a lot of parts in this. Big thing, it's going to be a really easy build. It's got a load of detail in there, but you know, we've got flaps that don't need attaching. The cells are already in place, so it's really not going to be a lot of work to put this thing together. Yeah, it'll keep me busy one weekend at the end of the day, won't it? So there we go, that's that one. Let's just put that away. And next up we have a Airfix 172 scale Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Collection, 172 scale Hawker Hurricane, Avro Lancaster and Supermarine Spitfire. 12 paints and brushes and 2 poly cements included. 25 quid. Can't go wrong with that, can you? These ones online tend to go for around about the sort of 35 to 40 pound mark. I'm kind of guessing that what we can expect inside here is a relatively vintage kit that's been cobbled together in a box to try and make Airfix a few quid. Next up we have a couple of books, like I said. We've got this British and American tanks of World War II. I actually have the German version of this as well, with the German tanks. And it's got loads of pictures and loads of details about all the tanks and armoured vehicles that were used by the Americans and the British in the Second World War. So that's going to be pretty useful in the future, I would have thought. And I paid £4.50 for that. The German version that I actually got, I think, cost me about a tenner online. So that seems like a pretty good buy. And that was from British Heart Foundation. And the next one we've got was this Who Was Who in World War II, edited by John Keegan, and produced exclusively for W.H. Smith. And what we've got here is all the heroes and villains of the Second World War, all done in alphabetical order, bunch of pictures, and for £2, it just seems like a kind of an okay book to maybe have a flick through and see if we can't peel out some information for some topics in the future. So that's what we picked up. We spent a rather massive £216.50 at charity shops, which is, that's put a big dent in my pocket. We're going to have to stay sober for the rest of the month, obviously. So I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously on the channel, we always do these haul unboxings, and this video will be in the playlist for other haul unboxings, including other charity shop haul unboxings, of which there are now, I think it's 42. Yeah, we spent a fair bit of cash. We've also been recently reviewing our mammoth kit collection of 720 kits or thereabouts. We have a little bit of a thing for a guy in Cornwall, where we've been to visit him a couple of times, and we're actually reviewing his 5,000 kit collection. We're on our second visit to Mikey in Cornwall. Incidentally, all his kits are up for sale, or most of them are, and you can get in contact with me and I can put you in contact if you see any kits that you actually want to buy from some of those videos. Next week, we're also going to be having a look at Rob's collection. That's another guy that I've met in Cornwall who has around about 1,500 to 2,000 aircraft and armoured fighting vehicles. These are all very modern kits, very expensive, and they are literally piled floor to ceiling in his house. So we'll be having a little run around his house and having a look at those. Incidentally, he also has a 15-inch battleship shell in his garden. Didn't get a photograph of it, but allegedly it could be from the Warspite. So that's all kind of interesting in what's coming up on the channel. Please do like and subscribe, and please do drop us a comment in the comment section. I always try to reply to the comments of you guys. And as always, this is Annie signing off. Be seeing you.